Ranking every Champions League runner-up team. Number 20, Liverpool 06-07. They lost over a quarter of the Premier League game to even jammied their way through 2 of the 3 knockout stages in the UCL, and still, they were probably favourites going into the final. Because yes people, the 2007 Champions League final took place between 2 sides who in all honesty were very lucky to be there. And no matter which one of them would have won it, they still have finished at the bottom of this list, that's for sure. Number 19, Arsenal 05-06. Another 4th place English team who lost 25% of the league games. And this Arsenal side actually finished above the Liverpool team because their run in Europe was a lot better. Not only did they concede 0 goals in the knockouts until the final, not only did they do that while knocking out Real's Galacticos and Capello's Juve, even in the final itself, they were terribly unlucky via both an early sending off and, let's face it, some dodgy officiating throughout the game. Number 18, Tottenham Hotspur 18-19. These guys basically had an identical season to their North London rivals a dozen or so years earlier, finishing 4th in the league. The difference? Pochettino's Spurs were a lot more exciting. This Spurs side blew Dortmund apart, went toe-to-toe with the best team in Europe in Man City and came out on top before giving us one of the greatest UCL semi-final ties of all time against Ajax. Number 17, Liverpool 17-18. In what could be considered the very first season Jurgen Klopp's modern-day Liverpool greats came together, it was pretty obvious they haven't quite found their feet yet, and they'd actually gotten quite lucky in Europe with a relatively easy group and knockout route to the final. And while the optimistic LFC fans blame Karius' howlers as well as Salah's injury for their loss to Real Madrid, if you watch the game back properly, the golfing class was evident from the start. Number 16, Borussia Dortmund 23-24. Despite having possibly the worst domestic campaign of any side on this list, the reason Dortmund of last year finished so far from the bottom is solely due to the Champions League run that season. They topped one of the toughest Champions League groups I've ever seen, and they were given a knockout route to the final which by no means was easy, and even in the final itself, they dominated huge chunks of the affair, missing a barrage of chances, including hitting the woodwork. Number 15, Inter Milan 22-23. The Inter Milan side of 2023 under Simone Inzaghi was what we call very much a cup team, because while they lost 12 league games and finished 18 points off the top in Serie A, their solid defense and tactical setup took them to both domestic and European Cup finals, and if you look at the way they did navigate their way through the rounds, i.e. clean sheets galore, it's pretty obvious that they were tailor-made for these kind of competition. Number 14, Atletico Madrid 15-16. Atletico were genuinely second for a lot of that season above Real, conceding only 18 goals in the entire 38-game campaign, and after knocking out both the Spanish and German champions, they sadly succumbed to a very unfortunate penalty shootout loss to their city rivals when it was all said and done. Fair play, bunch of twats. Number 13, Borussia Dortmund 12-13. Topping the group of death while going unbeaten, Jurgen Klopp's high-energy heavy metal football proved to be too much for almost every opponent in Europe in 12-13, ripping through 4 after 4 in every knockout round, including the famous 4-1 victory over Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid in the semi-finals, only to succumb to their domestic rivals in the final. Number 12, Chelsea 07-08. This is probably the toughest side to rank over here. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always thought Avram Grant was a little underrated and wrongly mocked during his time at Chelsea, but also the toughest tie they had until the semi-final against Liverpool was against Fenerbahce. These guys were less of a great team in general and more of a bogey team for that United side. Number 11, Bayern Munich 09-10. They were pushed practically right until the very end by Schalke in the Bundesliga, finished 6 points off the top in the UCL group, only made it through the first 2 UCL knockout phases via extra time, and were pretty